Welcome to another optimistic but wildly unrealistic TBR video. So logically, I already know that I'm not going to read very much in May. I have a lot going on. I have one book that I need to read in May that I've broken down into like pages per day, but only using the days where I'm not like for sure busy, like where I definitely don't have something on, and that has left me with 17 days. So for 14 days of the month I'm anticipating reading very little, if nothing at all. So you would think that with that in mind I would have done the most in April to reduce my TBR, and also would put smaller or less books on my May TBR to compensate for that, but as usual I have not done that, and we have just kind of like a standard TBR from me. I will say that it is pretty much like the bare minimum of what I need to read. I'm going to New York for a week, but with travel time it works out being like 10 days, like right in the middle of the month. So for that I don't really have a TBR. I'm going to take one physical book off my TBR with me, but I'm also going to be relying mainly on Kindle books for that, and I'm just going to kind of like mood read on the plane. Realistically I don't actually read that much on planes. I stare into space for like 8 hours, but we're gonna try, okay? The intention is there. So this is my book club books. I have one arc on here, and I have my Patreon picks from the past that I still haven't gotten to. And I just remembered that I said in April that this would be the month where I catch up on my Patreon picks. Joke's on me as usual. So I think it's going to be 6 books in total. We are going to be kicking off with those book club books. The big one, the monster book club for the month of May, is Wheel of Time Along. So I'm going to be reading The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan. The live show for this is going to be at the beginning of June, and this is the one that I have to break down into sections because I can't read this in like, if I was reading this continuously I reckon I'd only get about 40-50 pages a day, because it takes determination to read Wheel of Time, as I've discovered at like this early stage at least. So this one is actually the shortest of the ones that we've read so far. It's only 625 pages, and breaking it down over 17 days I have to read 35 pages a day. It is going to be a little bit of a disjointed reading experience because those 17 days are like not consecutive, but I feel like that is the best way to make sure that I get this done by the end of the month. So if you are unfamiliar with Wheel of Time and would like to know a little bit of what it's about, me too, because the plot in here is expansive. It's a very basic plot at its core though. It is like an eternal war between light and dark, and we have the chosen one versus the dark one. It's set in a world where these same things happen over and over again. Every turn of the wheel is an age, and over the ages this battle between light and dark has been raging, and the dark is slowly winning. So in this series we are following this age's Dragon Reborn as he is fighting the Dark One. We're kind of at the point where the characters are assumedly about to start coming into their own, as they've like actually accepted their destiny, and I'm excited to see it. I'm also very excited because I have it on great authority that Rand isn't really in this book. We focus mainly, I've heard, on Perrin and another character, but I can't remember which one it is. But like, great news, because my least favorite part of this series so far is Rand. So I am more excited to get into this one than I have been, I guess, the previous 2 installments. The other book club book that I have is Blood Solace by Vila Roth, which I really wanted to get into April and I just didn't. But this one is the April and May book for my Patreon book club, which is the Alpha book club. It's a fantasy romance book club where we read complete series, and this is the second book in the Blood Grey series. So this one is a political fantasy romance following a emissary of the Hesperenes, which are like a vampiric race, and the bastard daughter of a king. So we start off this story where the bastard daughter, who's called Cassia, is trying to meet a Hesperene. So even though she usually does her best to avoid her father, she's put herself in a position where she will be following the royal court to their summer residence, where negotiations between the humans and the Hesperenes are going to be taking place to negotiate a centuries-old peace treaty that has lapsed, like the humans haven't been upholding their end of the bargain recently. And Cassia goes along because of how desperate she is to speak to a Hesperene for reasons that we don't know at the beginning. So the majority of the first book takes place over a series of conversations between Leo and Cassia as they are meeting every night and getting to know each other a little bit. Really enjoyed book one, but it was a little bit slow in parts, so I'm very excited to get into the second book, especially based on the end of book one, which, to be fair, I'm still thinking about pretty regularly. So for the Patreon picks, we've read the February one, so that one's done finally. I know that one was hanging around for a while, but the March one is Iron Gold by Pierce Brown. This one was Veronica's pick. Still desperate to get to this one. Still a little bit scared of this one. I'm aiming on reading this one right at the beginning of the month, or like pretty early into the month, but this one is the fourth book in the Red Rising series, which is absolutely one of my favorite series of all time, and I need to read books 4 and 5 ready for book 6 being released a little bit later this year, and I'm a little bit nervous, I can't lie. I've spent a year out of this world, and like, Pierce Brown is an author that doesn't pull his punches, which puts the fear in me, because like, some characters survived the first trilogy against all odds. Are they going to survive the second series? I really don't know. If you are unfamiliar with Red Rising, it is following a guy called Darrow, who is a red in a universe that has a color cast system with reds right at the bottom and golds at the top. Now, the reds are mining for a valuable substance called helium-3, and they believe that the reason they're doing it is so that they can terraform the galaxy so that humans can escape the dying planet Earth and like move across the universe. What Darrow finds out after his wife makes herself a martyr to spur him into action is that the planets have been terraformed for quite some time and his people are essentially being kept in slavery. So Darrow decides from that moment to infiltrate the golds and tear them apart from the inside. This is set, I think, about 15 years after the end of Morningstar, so our cast of characters are a little bit older, and I'm excited to get into. I'm scared of this one. I will be listening to the audiobook and reading along to this as well, because the audiobook narrator, whose name I currently can't remember, does an amazing job, but I am fear. And then last month's pick, I'm also, I think, going to be listening to the audiobook of. I need to sample it, but a lot of people recommended the audio for this one, so I feel like I should probably give it a go. But this one was Bex's pick, and that is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. So this one is a fantasy, romance, paranormal-ish series that also, I think, gets a lot into historical fantasy in book 2. I haven't even seen the show for this, but I do want to watch it. And this one is following a young woman who I think goes to study at Oxford, and does she find some sort of like manuscript about witches that's tied to the past. Yeah, the synopsis on the back of this is very brief. It says, a world of witches, demons and vampires, a manuscript which holds the secrets of their past and the key to their future, Diana and Matthew, the forbidden love at the heart of it. This could very much go either way for me. I'm either going to love it or I'm going to hate it. Fingers crossed it falls on the side of love. Like, it's a big, thick fantasy romance book, so I feel like I'm going to enjoy this one. So I guess that brings us to our May Inner Circle Patreon pick. If you are a member of the Inner Circle tier on my Patreon, you can recommend a book that goes into this mug, and I will pick one every month. I'll aim to read it in that month. Whether I do is a different matter, but it does just go on my TBRs continuously until I actually do read the damn thing. So don't worry, like, it does get read. But as you can see, this is very, very full at the minute. I have taken everything out, like shuffled it all up and put it back in again, so they have been mixed because I can't really dig very well in here anymore. But we do have a couple of new additions as well, so thank you very much if you have joined my Inner Circle. You guys truly do the most, and I really, really do appreciate you. So let's see what this one's gonna be. I'm scared, but I'm always scared at this point. We have quite a mix of genres in here. Let's just go for this one, which is yellow, which means it's been in since before the start of the year. Oh, this is gonna make Brandy really happy, which I'm not happy about. Just kidding, kinda, but Brandy is one of my original patrons, which is why we express our love for each other with aggression and insults, essentially. But Brandy has been waiting and complaining about this not coming out for the longest time. I've actually been excited to read this series for a very long time. I remember people talking about this when I first started on BookTube, which we're coming up on 6 years now. So it's been a long time. The only kind of worry I have about this is that I'm pretty sure it's YA. So I'm a little bit worried that I've left it too long to enjoy it as much as I could have, but fingers crossed I do still really love it, because I don't know if this is an official 5-star prediction of mine, but I have a good feeling about it. I feel like this series could be a highly rated one for me. But that one is the 7 Realms trilogy by Cinda Williams Chimer. I believe that there's also like spin-off series to this world, and I think that's what really attracts me to it. The fact fact that it is high fantasy and also has like quite a lot of content, because you know me, if I like something I never want it to end. I don't actually know the plot of this though. Okay, so we have a thief, we have the son of a high wizard, and we also have a princess. This is already going to be a good time, like I can tell. And the thief finds somebody trying to set fire to a sacred mountain and then finds out that it's the son of the high wizard, which puts himself and his family in trouble. That is like a very abbreviated version of this. I'm sure I'll give you a better synopsis when I've actually read it, but this feels like it's gonna be a good time. My only worry is that me and Brandy rarely agree on anything when it comes to books, so I hope this is the exception where we actually we do agree and we both enjoy it. So, oh, I was gonna say that's the end. It's not. I have one more book to add to this TBR, which is an arc. The release date on this one is in May. I can't find the exact date on the actual copy, but that is a YA romance with a little bit of a fantastical or historical twist, which is Gwen and Art Are Not in Love by Lex Croucher. So this one is inspired by the Legend of Arthur and Camelot, and main characters are Art and Gwen, or Arthur and Guinevere. They are betrothed, but they actually hate each other. So after Art finds Gwen's diary, where she's been writing about how much she loves, I think it's like one of her maids, and after Gwen finds Art kissing a boy, they decide to keep each other's secret and uphold the betrothal while they kind of like go their separate ways and do whatever it is that they want to do. But I feel like it's going to turn into a romance between them eventually, although I don't know, just because it's called Gwen and Art Are Not in Love, I feel like it is going to go in that direction. So this isn't my usual thing, because I don't read YA romance anymore, especially because this I feel is going to be like very much in the style of a contemporary romance, but with just a little twist. It's actually reminding me a lot of Casey McQuiston, although to be honest I do actually like Casey McQuiston, so that could be why I have good vibes about this. But yeah, while it's a little bit outside of my comfort zone, I feel like this could be a really fun palette cleanser, and thank you very much to Bloomsbury for sending this my way, of course. So no, that is actually it. We have, you know what, it's not that bad. It is, really, considering I am busy in May. May is my birthday month essentially, so I have my birthday weekend planned because it's my 30th this year as well. So I'm going for a night out for my birthday weekend in Manchester, and then I'll be in New York for a week, and then I'm going to Slam Dunk at the end of the month as well. So there's quite a bit going on in May, which is why I don't anticipate reading a lot, but all I can say is that I'm gonna do my best. We do of course have Blood Solace to add on to here as well, which is another 650 pages. So while we don't have a ton of books on here, the ones that we do have as usual are thick. So I think these two would be the smallest, but even then we're looking at over, this one's nearly 500 pages, this one's just over 400, so truly there's nothing actually short on this TBR. As a guest kind of addition to this TBR, I did mention that while I was in New York I was planning on reading pretty exclusively from my Kindle. I am going to be mood reading there, but I do have two kind of TBRs that I feel I'm going to be working off that I've published in the past. So I am attending Rare, which is a romance festival, in July. So my main kind of thinking with this is that I would use this time to read a couple of authors that I'm interested in that are attending Rare. So I do have a video of that list of authors, and then I also have a Kindle TBR which is slightly outdated, but some of the stuff that I mentioned in that video are still on my TBR, so I will link both of those for you guys if you would like to check them out. But I really am just gonna read what I feel like. My plan is to take my Kindle with me, and then I'm taking one physical book, but that is only in case, because the flights are like 8-9 hours, so there's a chance if I do end up reading a lot that the battery's gonna run down, and I can't 100% guarantee that I'm going to be able to recharge it on the flight, although they do usually have USB ports, so just in case I will be taking a physical book as well. And in terms of that physical book, it's just going to be whichever one I'm currently up to as I'm working through my TBR, but it's not going to be this because I can't read this for extended periods of time, so I don't feel like it's a good idea to take this on like an 8-hour flight with me. So that's the TBR. Down in my comments, please let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Wish me luck, because as usual, it's a little bit ambitious. But aside from that, guys, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you wanna. If you head into my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram, and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish candle website, where I've just launched a range of Buffy candles, the Etsy for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.